Hey guys, this is Wolf of Dimensions coming back at you with a new video. This time, my predictions for what should be in Godzilla and what I believe will happen throughout the movie. Now, of course, the trailers we got showed us Godzilla and showed us scenes of the characters in the military, but we don't know what fully to expect. I mean, let's go back to the hype of legendary Godzilla in the first few trailers. No one ever expected the Mutos to be there. We expected it to be a one Godzilla deal like 84 and 1954. So, here's my first thoughts. First off, I don't believe there will be another monster for the reason of this Godzilla goes back to 54, and it doesn't look like much of a fighter. It doesn't look like a Godzilla that would... Now, granted, it could probably overpower its enemies. We haven't seen if it has any atomic breath, but I believe this isn't a movie about fighting. I believe they're sticking away from the fighting because they're going back to the roots of 54, which is the whole, war is horrible, don't mess with nature, don't mess with nuclear weapons because in the end it will destroy you. So they're going back to that center theme. Now, will Godzilla have his atomic breath? Of course, this is the Japanese Godzilla, so unless they decide to really change the game up, they're keeping it. Now, what it will look like, I'm not sure. From his body, though, I don't really expect it to be blue. I don't expect it to be the classic blue. I'm expecting it to be a more white or reddish. Like white like the 54s, but a reddish because of how his body looks and is reacting. That's where I'm getting most of my assumptions from on this idea for his atomic breath, because if his atomic breath is blue, it really just doesn't go with the color scheme, in my opinion, and you can say the blue didn't go with the color scheme of 2014, but 2014 had not a really decent, coloration. He didn't have the basic. He was just overall different. But enough about him. Shin Godzilla also seems to have a really interesting design. Especially, as I said before, the tail, how long it is. So I don't really think his whole point in this is fighting. Now, past that, we know that the military is not going to be able to do much. Because, when have they ever been able to do anything? So, to get rid of Godzilla, unless they're making this a multi-series, to get rid of Godzilla, they'd have to make something like the Oxygen Destroyer. And I don't really think they'll kill Godzilla off. I feel like they just started back, and they won't cut him off now, especially since news came out that this is no link to 54, this is the first genuine Godzilla attack. Another thing about that is that when the Millennium series came out, at least it had something to fall back on. It wasn't the best movies that came out, a lot of them got crap, but they fell back to the origins of 54. This movie has no cushion of the past in it. If this movie fails, it can't tribute any sort of success from 54 unless they generally say that it came from it, but even then, if it does go bad, it'll just look like a cheap ripoff of 1954, which would suck horribly. Now, people are saying that this Godzilla's goofy, but, I've heard this all before. 2 years ago, when the legendary Godzilla came out, and you have people who like it even after saying they hated it. And then you've got the people who are so Toho purist that they get really angry over anyone who likes something different. And I'd like to say, I don't like people who get angry over other people's opinions. I mean, morally, if it comes down to morality, I can get it. But when it comes to what someone likes, I get tired of hearing people on YouTube complain, because we all have our own different interests. But besides the morality lesson, this new Godzilla, I've heard it all before. He looks derpy, he looks fat, doesn't look like the original, and people are afraid of change. People are so used to the idea of what Godzilla looks like in their head. If anything new comes along, they get angry. Almost every franchise has this bad habit when it reboots. So, to be honest, I wasn't surprised when people came down hard on this new design, because to them it's not the same. People are afraid of the unknown, even in small situations like this. So I'm not really surprised people are angry with it. Of course, it's not going to get a US release, but I also do believe they will be using the 54 roar or the Showa roar, or a mix of both. because both were used in the trailers, and I feel like they won't cut it out. Now, the key factor for me is that I'm hoping they will throw a Akira Ifukube or a very classic Godzilla theme in, just like they're going to throw in the classic roars. If they don't, I will kind of be disappointed. I also believe that Godzilla, like it's been going around now, is regenerating, but I believe it's not as... because people are saying it's dramatically, and I get him regenerating, like, after the explosion, but part of me feel like this is his final form. If it's not, that is really interesting, and I can't wait to see what he looks like. Also, let's go back to another issue, the arms. People have been complaining about the arms, and here's what I think. Godzilla's arms in this are very much like 54's, so I'm not really surprised. Also, people are wondering if the military is going to have a chance. I said this earlier. Probably not. Probably going to do the exact same thing. Also, I predict that, that even if there is no kaiju, I predict that there will be some factor, some force that ends up going against Godzilla. Because as awesome as it would be for Godzilla to just destroy everything, that's not the best movie. For him to just literally obliterate everything and leave. He's never done it. In 54, he was killed for doing it. Also, I believe they will make a more humanization of Godzilla like they did in 54. That the creature is just as much of a victim as they are. Because he was hit directly with an atomic bomb. So, I think they're going to humanize Godzilla more than they did in the trailer. I really believe that Godzilla will you'll have a soft spot for him. He might be terrifying, he might be the thing of nature, but he's still a creature that was hit directly with something that mankind has considered the strongest weapon ever. Also, that means that all these conventional weapons, they're just not going to do, and I don't feel like we're going to get the lasers or the maser cannons from 84 to 2000. I feel like those are out of the question. So it just leaves as to maybe I predict there might be a new oxygen destroyer. Or something close to it, which would be interesting. But, of course, it won't be Dr. Serizawa, because as we can tell, Dr. Serizawa has already been rebirthed in the Legendary series, and they're trying to keep as far away from that as possible. I also predict that the thing on his tail will be explained. I feel like that's caused so much controversy. I think it would bite Toho in the butt not to explain what it is. And I feel like it might place some importance as to what happened to Godzilla. And I feel like it's not as simple as him just getting blown up. I feel like there was more to it. Now, that's my predictions and thoughts on Shin Godzilla or Godzilla Resurgence, what I believe will happen, and how the movies will look forward in the future, maybe even the sequels. So, thanks for watching, guys. This is Wolf of Dimensions signing off. Come back again. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you. Goodbye.